Okay. So I'm going to have to get those other students in here somehow, so bear with me for that, okay? Somebody asked a question there, does syncing the calendar affect events you shouldn't be seeing? And I suspect it probably will. We'll try to grab, I think it will probably remove the events that you're not supposed to be seeing. Okay, hang on, let me get the link to this class and send it on to those students. Did I open the wrong one? No, September 29th. Bear with me, guys. I'll just pop it in the chat. Everybody's getting very confused. Okay. Okay. Let me check back in. Are we getting any new people arriving? Okay. Bear with me, guys. Sorry. Just trying to make sure we have everyone. Okay. I think I have some people waiting in the lobby. Okay. Are there people here now who were in the other meeting? Have I gotten some of you in? Yes. Okay. So the message went across. Okay, we'll get started eventually. I'm sure the fact that we started 10 minutes late confused everybody in the other group as well. Right, we're in. Okay, great. Okay, so a few things. First things first, I sent a link toward the very top of this chat, so you'll have to scroll back up, okay, to a video. A video which will show you how to sync your calendars, okay? The process of syncing your calendar can take up to an hour. So maybe when you finish class here today, follow the video. It's like a minute and a half long. Sync your calendar and leave it doing its thing. And that should iron out any kinks that you're experiencing with being able to see certain things and seeing too many things and not seeing enough things, okay? That's the first housekeeping piece for today. The next thing is, I think we still have some people in the other class, so bear with me. Okay, if somebody wouldn't mind grabbing that chat and the link from the chat and resharing it for me, that would be great. Just while I check that I've got everybody I need to have in this class. Okay, so Sam has created that video link. Thanks, David, for sharing that for you all to see how to sync your calendars. Okay, just remember, syncing your calendar can take up to an hour, so do it when you have time. All right, don't do it as you're trying to get through the get into a class. Okay. Okay, Perfect. I see Moretti and Trey, you've joined us now as well. Just waiting now. Great, thank you guys. Can we all make sure we've muted our microphones as well, please? Okay. I think we have nearly everybody now. All right then. Okay, this will get more straightforward. It won't always take us 20 minutes to get organized, all right? But that's why I kept things light this week and we're doing revision. Somebody asked if I had put the solution to what we did in class yesterday on Moodle, and the answer is yes, I did. You should be able to see Moodle shared on my screen at the moment. In the module intro and revision section, you'll see I've added the slides as a PDF for anybody that needs to use a screen reader, counting app as a zipped file, which is the application we did yesterday, the video recording, which is rather uselessly labeled with a big date, so I'll edit that. Is that what that is? No, actually, what is that? Oh, that's the screen capture of our IPO diagram. That was the photograph of our IPO diagram, so I'll rename that later. And then access to yesterday's recording, and they're all in this module intro and revision section on Moodle. Okay. So that's that. And then the other thing I wanted to let you know is we have been joined today, and will be every Tuesday, by our lab assistants. Okay, so we have 3 lab assistants, Prasanth, Vikas, and Zaza. Okay, and they've already been a great help this afternoon. Luckily, Zaza was able to guide a lot of the students in the other group back here, so that's great. Okay, so guys, if you don't mind, Prasanth, Vikas, and Zaza, could you maybe pop a little hello message in the chat window just to introduce yourselves, please? Okay, great. So I think Zaza's here too. Okay. Ahmed, are you a lab assistant with us as well? Apologies, I might have missed. Okay, all right then. Sorry, I'm still trying to get to know everybody that's in the room. All right. Okay, so as you can see, these guys are all lab assistants. They're all MSc students in the college. They have a wealth of programming experience, and they're here to help us. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about the logistics of how that's going to work in an online space, because it's a little bit different to putting your hand up and getting help in a classroom. Okay, but first I'm going to start the recording, because otherwise I'll end up in trouble. Excellent. Okay, the recording started first time for me this time, so that's awesome. That saved a couple of minutes. So again, welcome to all of our lab assistants today. We have 3 lab assistants. They're here to help, so don't be afraid to ask for help. I think we've got everybody in now as well. Attendance is great, which is fantastic. Thanks, guys. I know it's the graveyard shift. I had to go and fetch myself a can of Coke. I'm clarifying it's Coke because it tends to look a little bit like Coors Light at times. So I want you to know I'm sitting here drinking a can of Coke, not Coors Light. Hi, Sean. Welcome. Thanks a million. Sorry for the confusion in getting from one class to the other. Okay. So we have all of our lab assistants, and they're here, and we are ready to rock. Okay. But the way that we're going to handle getting their attention is this. If you're writing some code, well, if you have a question, as always, pop it in the chat window. Okay. If you're writing code and you're getting an error and you're unsure what that error is after you've tried to solve it yourself, obviously, I want you to take a screen grab of that piece of code, the line of code, whatever it happens to be, and drop it into the chat window. Okay. What will happen then is one of the guys will pick it up and they'll message you. They'll tag you in the reply and they'll do their best to help you. Okay. And then once they've resolved your issue, they'll mark it with a thumbs up, so I'll know that I don't have to go back to it. If none of them can help you out, or if one can't, they might refer you to another. If none of them can help you out, then they will ask you to put your hand up, and then I'll know that it's something that I need to get to as soon as I'm finished talking. Okay. If you're working independently through your labs, I may pick up some of the questions myself and answer them. Okay. But that's how we're going to do things, right? So I'm guessing you're all familiar with the snipping tool, but just in case you're not, I'm going to give a quick demo of that. Okay, so I'm going to open Netbeans and open what I had yesterday. Off the top of my head, I can't remember if there's a way to word wrap in Netbeans. I think there is though. So I'll have a look for that now when I've opened it up. I should really have opened it up before now. And if you haven't opened it up yet, I suggest you do so because it can be a little bit slow. The other thing to remember about Netbeans is the more projects you have open, the longer it takes to open up. Okay, so it's always a good idea to close your projects once you've finished. So where did I save all of my stuff? OneDrive, modules, OOP, and class exercises. So here's my counting app. Okay. Just the code from yesterday is up on Moodle. All right. I'll show it to you again here. Everything from yesterday, slides of the PDF, recording, it's all here in the module intro and revision section on Moodle. Okay. I'll do my best to keep on top of that. You may need to nudge me every now and again and ask me to put stuff up, but it'd be great if you check first. Okay. So let me see. Is there a word wrap? Now I know when I was changing the font yesterday, it's tools and options. So I suspect if there's a word wrap option, it's going to be in here. I can't see it, but I see somebody has. Zaza has shared word wrap there in the chat. Excellent. Okay, and I'll check that later and I'll see how to do it myself. But you can all follow that link that Zaza has just shared in the chat window. Okay. So, what we are doing today. All right. First off, are there any questions outstanding from the last class? Sean, I see that you still don't have Netbeans downloaded. So what we might do after I finish talking, when everybody starts their labs, I might get one of the guys to meet you separately in a Teams meeting and see if we can talk you through getting that downloaded and installed, okay? Because that's going to be important to do going forward. But first off, are there any other questions about what we did yesterday? You are going to have, you're going to create a new application today, okay? And you should be storing everything in a very organized fashion in a folder, all right? Otherwise, you're not going to be able to find anything when you need it. And you are going to need it when you do your exam at the end of the semester, okay? So the more organized you can get now, the better.
Francis, right. I just have a question, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
So just from the application yesterday, I was testing it out. I don't know if it was fixed in the one that you uploaded, but just for the vowels, say if I had a word with like 2 vowels in it, or like 2 of the same vowel, it wouldn't count it on the actual application as it popped up. So is that fixed in the one that you uploaded, do you know, or no?
I think that worked in mine. I did Mary Had a Little Lamb, and that had a few A's in it, and I think that worked. So, yeah, that should be working in the application that I uploaded, but if you find that it's not, let me know, and we can come back to it. I also
Okay,
didn't
that's
finish
grand.
out the consonants piece, so you'll need to finish that bit out yourself. Okay.
Cheers, thanks.
Freddie, we'll get to what today's application is named in just a minute, okay? Any other questions on what we did yesterday before we move on?
About the Netbeans, can I? Why we are not using the last version of the Netbeans? Is there a reason?
No particular reason. This one I just find is easier to use at the moment for students from a student perspective and a learning perspective. By all means, if you want to use the new one, you can, but the settings and things will be different. Okay.
Thanks.
The version I recommended yesterday, and I have it in the slides here. Let me just grab it. So yeah, this is the link to, oh, it's very big. It's the link to the Netbeans downloads and JDK, the single click kind of install for Netbeans on the JDK. Okay. Right. So moving on then, if there are no other questions, using the class notebook. So I mentioned that we're going to use the class. It is a big URL. Apologies, Josh. We're going to use the class notebook for all of your programming, okay? Probably not so much for our lecture practice activities, but for our lab stuff, and for every new topic that you encounter. So what I need you all to do is I need you to go to Teams, okay? So back to your Teams desktop application. All right, and in your Teams desktop application, you should see object-oriented programming all, okay? And I want you to go into that team and into class notebook. Okay. In here, if you click the little arrow, you won't see everybody's name, you'll only see your own. So I'll use Aaron as an example again. You should, inside your notebook, see Programming Journal. You'll have a cover page and you'll have today's exercise. Okay, once you click onto the page itself, the menu all disappears off to the side. And that's your problem for today. All right, so this is where we're going to do all of our work. And as you can see, I can see everybody's programming journal in here and I can see it happening as it happens. Okay, we're going to take it step by step. We're not going to kick it off just yet. Okay, but that is how you access. So can you all please try to open the class notebook? So I'll go through it again. We open up the Teams application, which you've obviously got on your desktop somewhere. Find object-oriented programming. Go in there into that team, and at the top there's a class notebook tab. If anyone can't see it, please let us know. Click the little arrow, and then into your notebook and into programming journal. It's the third page down, topic 1 revision. It's not appearing for everyone. It's possible that if it's not appearing, that might be because you're not yet part of the team. Okay. So if it's not working for you, can you just pop me a quick message? I'm going to make a note of your names, and as soon as I get everybody else started, I'm going to add you all. Okay. So just let me know if it's not working for you. Joshua, good point. There's a couple of object-oriented programming teams. The one you want is the one with the colored logo on it. Okay. With the little screen that says Java. Okay, so basically, you need to be enrolled on the Moodle page, which then puts you into the team, which then gives you access to this class notebook, and then I can issue you the stuff. So I'm going to go, if you haven't already enrolled on the Moodle page, actually you could do that now. Anyone who has said they don't have access, can you please just follow this link and make sure you're enrolled on the Moodle page, okay? Then hopefully we'll be able to get synced up. All right, so if it's not working for you, if you can't see the team or you can't, so those who it's not working for, is it that you probably can't see the team I want you to see. Okay, so I want you to see this team here, object-oriented programming with the picture. Okay, and if you can't, you need to let me know. All right, so Joshua. Okay, and this exercise you're going to do by yourself. Okay, but we're going to do it in stages, and I'll check back in and I'll go through parts of the solution with you as we go and keep everybody on track. Okay, so into object-oriented programming, into the class notebook, and open up your lab book. All right, now just pop back to the slides for a moment. All right, so what I want you to do for now is complete steps 1 to 3 in topic 1 revision in your programming journal. Okay, and that is basically all right, the problem is there. Develop an application allows the user to play a hangman game. The game should store a secret word, which you can choose and hard code into a variable, and allow the user to guess the word 1 letter at a time. The game should begin by printing a star for every letter in the word, and when the user guesses a letter correctly, that letter should replace the appropriate star, and the updated string should be printed to the user. And it gives an example, okay? So you're going to explain the problem in your own words. You're going to list the concepts addressed in intro to programming that will be required in this application. Okay, if you've just joined us directly into second year, don't worry, just general programming concepts. Are we using loops? Are we using strings? Are we using if statements? That kind of stuff. And identify 3 concepts you think you might actually need to revise in order to build this application. Then take a little bit of time to go and check out some old examples from last semester or do a little bit of revision around that. And then do either, okay, so at least one of these, an IPO diagram, an object diagram, or a class diagram. And you can use draw.io in order to make that diagram, okay? And then paste it in here into the box. I managed when I was writing this particular lab to skip step 4, so that's fine. And then in a little while after the break, we'll do steps 5 and 6, which is the development end of things, okay? Just to be clear, no, this is not graded, okay? But it is your opportunity to practice using the class notebook and to make sure you have access to it before you have to use it next week for the graded item, okay? Typically what I will do is on a Tuesday afternoon, I'll issue some of the workbook to you and I'll lock it the following Monday. So you will have the week to finish it out, but if you want the help to do it, you'll have to get that help during this class. I won't be answering team messages all week long to try and help people to finish out their work, okay? So everybody needs to make sure they are on Moodle, and then you can get started on your prep work in your notebooks, okay? And in the meantime, I'm going to try and arrange access for so when you type something in the notebook, I will automatically see it. Yeah, it automatically saves for you, and I will see it then on my end as well. So I'll be able to see you working. And it's the best way for me to be able to see you working. Obviously, I won't be able to see you writing your code live, but I'll be able to see you putting content into the workbook on a regular basis. Okay, now, David Byrne, I'll add you to my list, and I'm going to try and arrange access for anyone who doesn't currently have it. Okay. So where it asks you to list the concepts that we need to address. So I'm talking, do you think you're going to need to use if statements or loops or strings or characters or that kind of thing? Whatever we addressed previously in programming that you're going to reuse this time around. Okay. Right. I'm going to switch off my mic for a moment and I'm going to try and get those students who don't have access organized. Okay. Sorry, guys. If you open it, sorry, Marie Elizabeth, if you open it on the app, do you mean the OneNote app or the Teams app? OneNote. Yeah, I believe I should still be able to see it in OneNote because it's a class notebook, but we'll find out. We'll try it now and see. Okay. Oh, and don't worry about it. Honestly, this is a no stakes assessment, so this is your chance to do it and get it wrong. And then I can help guide you to get it right next week when it does matter. Okay. Now I'm going to grab my browser back and just sort this out for people. You don't need to save it. It'll automatically update for me as you go along. Okay, what I mean by concepts, any topics that we covered in programming last year. So if statements, loops, strings, string buffers, that kind of thing. And yes, if you add comments to your code, you will do better. David Byrne, did you say you still don't have access? I'm working on getting access for the rest of you. David Byrne, if you don't have access, would you mind just letting me know, does your student number start with a 18 or a 19? Because there's a couple of David Byrnes. Okay, guys, those of you who didn't have the class notebook should now have it, except I think Trey, for some reason you haven't popped up on my list yet, Trey, but I'm working on it, okay? Hi, guys. Yeah, if you have finished steps 1 to 3, by all means, go on to steps 5 and 6, okay? And you'll see then, well, I'll talk a little bit more about how you put your code in a bit, okay? So by all means, if you're finished steps 1 to 3, continue, fire ahead, okay? Yep, for the object diagram, if you want to draw a picture on paper and take a picture of it and put it in, great. Just make sure your writing's legible, okay? I have to read these at some point, and sometimes the writing can be a bit difficult. So just make sure that they're legible and it's a good picture, but absolutely, you can take a picture and stick it in. Equally, if you're ever doing rough work on things, and you prefer to do things by pen and paper, quick snapshot and pop it in, it's no problem. Okay, apologies, guys. There are a couple of you for whom it's not working for some reason. I am trying to sync things, and I will get it sorted. It's because you weren't part of the Moodle page, you weren't part of the team. So I'll get it sorted. In the meantime, you can just crack on with doing an IPO diagram for the problem. I'll put the problem on the board or in the chat window, and you can just copy out the problem, and then you can just do you can do your IPO chart or whatever it is, and then you can get on with writing the code, okay? Just bear with me and I'll grab the problem itself. And this is why we're doing a revision and a practice go at this. So there's nothing at stake, and next week we can have it all perfect. So there's the problem for anyone who hasn't got access to the workbook yet, and I will issue the page in the workbook then in due course, okay? Okay. Apologies, Sean, to answer your question. Yes, you can do your IPO chart on paper. Or step one, you can type it straight into the lab workbook, okay? Step one is understand the problem. So explain it in your own words, just type it into the box, okay? And then when you come to doing your IPO chart or your object diagram in step, where is it? Step 3, you can do it on paper or you can do it using draw.io, okay? I'll have to get to the bottom of why people can't see the lab book after class today. All right. Okay. Hi Trey, no, I'd rather you use Netbeans from here on out, okay? If you missed yesterday's class, don't worry about that. We're going to take a tea break in a couple of minutes and I can try and catch people up while the tea break is on, okay? Oh, and don't worry about it. I'm going to recap it then after the tea break, okay? I'll go through what steps 1 to 3 might have looked like and what might be suitable answers to put there before we move on, okay? So don't worry at all about it. Okay, and with that in mind, I think it's time for a tea break, okay? So be back here at 4:10. All right, 4:10 p.m. All right. Okay, so 4:10, back from your tea break, please. Trey, no need to apologize at all. All right, there's been all sorts of issues, and I don't think anybody has had a completely smooth transition into this new online learning environment. So we will sort it, okay? For anybody who's missed it or anybody who wanted a quick refresher, I will show how to create a new application in Netbeans, okay? Now, if you don't have Netbeans installed yet, okay, first thing, search your laptop for Netbeans, see if you have it. If you don't have it, the link for Netbeans was shared here some ways back in the chat. I think I might ask our 4th years if they could develop a Teams plugin to help organize chat. The categories of some sort. So it's the giant one. You can't really miss it. It's the giant link that I included in the Teams chat. Okay, that'll bring you to here. The one that I used is this one at the bottom, windows64.exe. Okay. Thank you for resharing that, whoever that was. Oh, Becca, brilliant. Thank you very much. So this is your link. All right. If you use the bottom link here, okay, for Windows x64, you will need to click accept license agreement in order for that to download. Once it downloads, you're going to want to double click it to run the installer. Okay. And then it should be pretty much out of the box. All right, that should be it. That should be it working. So if you haven't done that yet, you can set that running. Okay. And then in a minute or two, I'll give a quick how to create a new file in Netbeans. Honestly, guys, this exercise that you've been asked to do today is a revision one. All right. It's not particularly important. All right. It's an opportunity for you to realize perhaps if you have a little bit of brushing up to do or not. And it is a chance for me to let people work away while I iron out the issues that I knew there were going to be today because we're still in week 1. All right. So if you're not completely caught up, if you haven't completely done the exercise, don't fret over it. Okay. I want you all to take the chance to practice it, to practice accessing OneNote so that I know everybody has access to OneNote and that everybody's gotten access to their pages. All right. And that everybody has Netbeans downloaded and installed and knows how to run it. Okay, that's a win for me if we can get that much done this week. Okay, I'm happy out if we can get that far this week. Okay, and then next week we get to start afresh and we just keep on trucking. All right. So I'll just give a minute for people to get that. So that's a good question, Connor. Will there be revision classes available? And Emer did pop into our class briefly yesterday, so she said that she can set up classes for anybody who's feeling like they could do with a bit of a brush up, and now's the time to do it. Okay. The other thing, and I have it in the slides here, so I'll pop it up now, and we can come back to it again. Is I didn't mean to click that. Obviously, all of last year's content is available via video. okay, and on YouTube. So if you struggle at all with anything we're doing today, it's a good idea maybe to take it back to basics and watch some of these videos, okay? So the playlist on programming basics is here, on selection statements is here, loops is here, and characters and string buffers are there, okay? And I will pop this all on Moodle at the end of class, this slide deck. There's not a whole lot in this slide deck beside those links, okay? But I'll put it up on Moodle so that you have access to them, and that way you can recap yourself in your own time. And if you want to, you can, like, I mean, you have a whole week now between today's class and next Monday. So we have good time to digest some of this and to go over some of it while all the other modules are still a little bit light. You've only had your introductions to go home and brush up on your programming a little bit, okay? Or you can just go to YouTube and type Frances Sheridan, Frances with an E, okay? And you'll get my channel, all right? Brilliant, Trey. You're all signed in now. You've got it installed. Fantastic, okay? So I'll take us into Netbeans now, and I'll give a quick demo of how we open up a new application, a new project, and how we get started, okay? Right. So for anyone who does need a bit of a, how do I get started in Netbeans? This is it, okay? So you have Netbeans open. Some of you might see some windows here. I don't have anything open here at the minute, okay? Yep, I'll be with you shortly, Vitaly. I can chat to you maybe after class if that's okay. Okay.
I'm blocked.
You're blocked. Okay, bear with me for a moment, guys. I'm going to just dip out of class. Trey, I'll be back to you in 2 seconds, all right? I just have to pop out for a moment. Okay, I'm back. So let me just share Netbeans again. So here at the top of your Netbeans, okay, here at the top of Netbeans, okay, in the top left-hand corner, you will find 3 little buttons. The first one is the new file, the next one is new project, and the one after that is open project, okay? Everything we do in Netbeans is going to be about opening up, is going to be in projects, okay? So to open a new project, we open the folder with the little plus sign on it. We select Java, and we select Java application, okay? And then we hit next, all right? So we're opening up the folder with the little green plus, we're going Java and Java application, and then we click next. Okay, in here then we give our Java application a name. I'm just going to call mine test app. Okay, and then we browse for where we're saving it. This section here where you browse may well default to Netbeans projects folder in your My Documents, in your C drive, somewhere else. It's generally a good idea for you to decide where you're going to put your stuff. Don't let it all just land in the default Netbeans folder, because they can be kind of difficult to find, particularly if we land back in campus and we're using PCs on campus. I have students annually lose all of their work because they've put it in the Netbeans project folder, and that doesn't go from one machine to the other with them. So make sure I've browsed here to my OneDrive, to my object-oriented programming folder, and I've put it in there. Okay. In fact, I might go into object-oriented programming and class exercises and week 1. Okay, and put it in there. You'll see it creates a main class here called testapp.testapp. We leave that there. Okay, we want it to do that, and then we hit finish. What it gives us then here on the left-hand side is test app with the little Java coffee cup beside it. It gives us a source packages folder. Okay, and when we open that, it has a test app folder inside of it. And inside that then is the test app class. And this is our app class with our public static void main string args inside of it. Okay. We'll also need an instantiable class if we're going to develop an application. So we need to right click on the test app source folder and go new Java class. And that's how we add a new Java class. Right click, new, and Java class. Okay. In there, then we give it a name. So we'll call this one test, because the other one is test app, and we just click finish. It automatically goes into the same folder. They're told that they're part of the same folder because they each have this line at the top, package test app, and the other one, package test app. Okay. Test is where we're going to do our setters, our getters, our constructors, and our compute method. And test app is where we'll connect all of those into an application. Okay. That was a whistle stop tour. I see Zaza has also shared the link, as has Vikas. So thanks, guys. Okay. So you can always refer to them if you need to see that process again. Okay. I think at this stage now, everybody should be almost back from break. So in just one more minute, I will go through some of the solutions I would expect to see in the programming journals. Okay. Okay, welcome back from the break, guys. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just go through the kind of answers I would expect to see in the programming journal for those questions. Okay, and I've been dipping in and out and having a look at what most of you are doing there, and it's great. You're doing some good stuff. Okay, so don't worry at all about it. This is my blank programming journal, so I'm not showing anybody's particular answers. Okay, so the question asked, develop an application that allows the user to play a hangman game. The game should store a secret word which you can choose and hard code into a variable, and allow the user to guess the word one letter at a time. The game should begin by printing a star for every letter in the word. When the user guesses a letter correctly, that letter should replace the appropriate star, and the updated string should be printed to the user. For example, if the secret word is house, the application first prints star, 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 and when the user guesses the letter O should, the output should turn into star O star, star, star. Okay? First thing you're asked to is explain the problem in your own words. What I'm looking for here is if you're sitting in class and you've already started to do the lab and someone comes in late and sits beside you and says, what are we doing? You're going to summarize it, right? You're going to say, oh, we have to make an application that plays hangman. User enters a word, prints it out of stars, and literally put it in your own words as if you were explaining it to your granny to tell her what it was you had to do in class, or tell it to somebody who's arrived to class late. Okay? Write Java code to accept letters from a user and try to guess if the letter is correct. Print the word with stars and the letter in the correct place, right? That's all I'm looking to find out here is, do you understand what you're being asked? Sometimes the way I write something might not be particularly clear, and so I need to see that you understand what I'm trying to say. And hopefully, as I'm dipping in and out and I'm checking your work, I'll be able to say, oh, wait, no, that's not what I asked. What I actually meant for you to do is, okay? And so that's why. And sometimes you'll get halfway through writing and you'll go, wait, no, this is not what she's asked me to do. And you'll be able to go back and you'll correct that. So it's just to get us to stop and think about the actual problem. Or you might get so far into explaining it and go, but she hasn't told us that, maybe, and you might have a question to ask, and I can help to clarify, and that will bring more clarity to what it is you're trying to do. Okay? List the concepts addressed in Intro to Programming that will be required in this application. Might even use some bullet points for this. What kind of concepts did we have listed here, guys? You can pop your answers in the chat window.
Francis, the chat doesn't seem to be working for me.
Oh, sorry about that, Orkin. Is it that you can't see it, or it just won't let you type?
It's just on the top of my screen, it just shows participants raise hand and then no option for a chat.
Okay, all right, sorry about that now. Well, for now, just pop in with your mic, okay, if you want to answer something or ask me anything, and I'll iron that out for tomorrow, okay, or for next week, all right? So we have arrays, math.random, if-else statements, nested if statements, loops. Okay, great. So I'm going to list all those. These are just our initial thoughts. Loops, arrays, nested if statements, math.random. Very good. Okay. And that would, yeah, exactly. So I had said in the description that you could just choose one secret word. And often when we're testing something, it's easier to do that because you want to actually sometimes be able to guess it right to see what happens. But then we would further develop it to have an array of words, and we would randomly choose a word from that array. So math.random is brilliant. String buffers, fantastic. Someone else has said scanner. What could we use instead of scanner? J option pane. Brilliant. Okay, that's all I'm looking for there. Okay, because what's probably going to happen, and particularly with revision, you're going to get so far and you're going to go, string buffers. I do not for the life of me remember what the methods were that I was supposed to use with string buffers for adding things and removing them and stuff like that. So actually, when I think about what I'm going to revise, I'm going to revise string buffers. And I'm going to revise math.random because the syntax for that is a little unusual and I can never really remember. And not a nested if, a nested if. And I might take another look at arrays then for when I get the program finished, I can have random words. Okay, does that make sense? So there is no wrong answers to those particular questions. Now the questions next week will be a little bit different, but there's no wrong answers. What I'm looking for there is effort. I'm looking to see that even though you might think, God, I wish she'd just give us a nudge and tell us what it is we have to start with, that you went and you explored it yourself and you tried to find out first. Because in work, when you're out there as a developer, nobody's telling you where to start. You'll be given the problem and you have to go and try and solve it. And I want you to get comfortable with that sense of not knowing and not knowing where to start and finding a place to start. And that's what that's all about. Okay? Is everybody okay with that? All good? Any
Yeah.
problems or questions or queries about that? Okay, we all seem good with that one. Great. So, moving on then, that was step 1, revision. So then take the time to go and revise them. Grand, right? I'm not going to obviously do that. You don't need to watch me revise, okay? It's a new process, and it's going to just take time for you all to kind of adjust to what, the order of doing things. It's not really a new process, actually. It's a process you've all been engaging in for a full year, but I'm just making you write it down, which is probably a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit new, okay? So it's just going to take some time. Sometimes putting those random thoughts in your head into words and on paper can be a little bit daunting. But I want to see your thought process, and I want to see how you're approaching these problems, and that's the way that we're going to be able to do that, okay? Now, I don't know if I haven't had time to set up my fancy graphics tablet yet, but I'm going to switch off my camera, and I'm going to switch over to my ladybug for now. Okay. Grand. Okay. That has not worked, has it? Should be working. Why is it not working? Grr. Bear with me. I think I may need to turn off my background effects. I don't have any on, so. Okay, great. Now you're seeing the paper. Fantastic. Now, let me see. Where do I need this? Okay. Good stuff. Okay, I'm all upside down and back to front. I don't know which way this document camera is working, but we'll get there. So, ladybug, that'll be better. And we'll start with a quick IPO diagram. We might even do an object diagram. Okay. Yeah, the ladybug doesn't want to behave itself. Bear with me, guys. Thought I had this all figured out. Okay. And now. Aha, there we go. Perfect. Okay. So, should autofocus. I'll get a fresh page. Okay. So, the IPO chart for this problem. Okay. We give it our best shot. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Now, let me see. Input, process, output. Okay. Now, what are my output variables for this program? Pop them in the chat window or shout them at me, one or the other. Secret word. Okay. All right, and that's our output variable, is it?
A secret word not hard coded into the process.
Very good, Sean. Yes, it could be. Equally, it might be one that we'll use for output as well. Okay, so we could put it in either. All right, but good point. Okay, so we have secret word. What is my input to the program going to be? Player guess. Okay, and what kind of data type is player guess going to be, or guess?
String.
Not quite, because they're guessing one letter at a time.
Char.
Char, brilliant. Okay, so char, guess. All right. Secret word, I probably should have stuck with my camel case. All right, secret word. Okay, and then my process. All right, so my process is basically going to be, and I'm going to just write it in pseudocode, print secret word as stars. Okay, then I'm going to, and shout again or drop a message if you think I've missed something. Except guess from the user, and then if now what am I doing in here? If what? Is there something I need before an if? Gonna, just like yesterday, loop through. Very good. Secret word. If char at I equals guess, then what do I do? So if the character at I equals the guess, what do I have to do? This is the crux of it now. Somebody mentioned using a string buffer, didn't they? Okay, so I can use strbuff dot set char at I. Okay. To be guess. Okay, I'm not sure if that's the exact syntax, but we can double check it anyways. Okay, so we basically set the character at I to be whatever the user guess was. Okay, append is another one we could do, Connor. Yes. So if our string buffer was empty, we could append. But if we've already got stars in there and we try to append stars to the end, we're just going to get the word over and over and over and over again. So the set char at method is one you may or may not have actually used last year, but we would have talked about it. And it's a good one to use when you want to replace a letter. Okay. That's the general gist. So something like that, either scribbled on paper and a picture taken and popped into the box. Okay. Or drawn in draw.io. Okay. Your object diagram would be something like this. So we would have a box at the top with main. Okay, we'll call this hangman up. Okay, in here we would have char guess and string secret word, and then down here we would have our other object. Okay, with all of our setters and getters. So what setters are we going to have? Anybody tell me? We should have a setter for every input. So set guess, very good. Any getters in this one? Actually, I'm going to call this one my compute method.
Yeah,
and then
secret word.
Yes, so we're going to want to get secret word. Okay. And then in here we can also do char guess string secret word. Okay. So something along those lines. All right. Obviously mine are a bit rough and ready because I don't want to spend too long over this. Okay. You would do those either on paper and take pictures of them, or you would do them using draw.io or even Microsoft Word if you're doing an IPO chart, okay? Take a screen grab using your snipping tool. Did I show you how to do the snipping tool today? I didn't. I will do that shortly, okay? And then drop it into the notebook, okay? So just on that, I'll minimize this, okay? And I'll minimize this. Going to just end the slideshow. So if I click my start menu and I just type snip, okay, I'll get my snipping tool. Your snipping tool will allow you to take a picture of anything that's on your screen, okay? So for instance, if I had, let's just say I have slides open, okay? And I needed to take a screen grab of a portion of the slide. So I don't need the whole thing. I just want a little bit. I take my snipping tool, I click new. Yep, so there is a button on the keyboard that will do a print screen of your entire screen. But what's nice about the snipping tool is I can just snip this part. Okay, just the portion of the screen. So a couple of reasons we're going to do this, I suppose. If you're doing an object diagram in draw.io and you want to just grab the diagram rather than export it and go to all that hassle, you can do that, and then you can drop it into your OneNote programming journal. Or if you are writing code in Netbeans and you end up with an error and you're not sure how to solve it, you can get your snipping tool, you can say new, you can grab that line of code, okay? And you can literally press the copy button, and then you can come to the chat window and you can pop the picture in there. And that way, and you can also say with a message saying, I'm having an issue with this. And the guys, our lab assistants, can open it up and see your line of code and your errors and your squiggly lines and all the bits that are making it wrong. And you can share the errors that you're having and the issues that you're having. So that's what I would like you to do if you're having problems. So you could say, I'm having an error with this line. Thanks for that, Ian. You have it sorted. Okay. And then one of the guys can pick it up, and when they reply like you just have, you have two eyes in there, okay, they will reply and they will mark it with a thumbs up, so I know that I don't need to go back to it. Okay, so that's why we're going to get familiar with the snipping tool. All right, it's going to make life a little bit easier for us, okay, because we have to find new ways to work in the online classroom. All right. So I'll take out that I now, and that should fix it. So back to our OneNote notebook then, okay? We're going to pop in our IPO or our object diagram or both. If you decide to do both, great, put them in. Don't be hiding work from me. I can only give you marks for what I can see, okay? And then you're on to development and debugging. So you're opening up Netbeans and you're creating a new project, and you're going to go through all of these steps. So as you debug, if you come against an error, write down what the message was and how you fixed it. Right? If you do this, it'll seem tedious at the time, right? And you don't have to be limited to 3. I just want you to do 3 at least, okay? God, can you imagine then when you're in your end of semester exam and something goes wrong and you're thinking, I have had this error before. I just can't remember how I fixed it. And you can scroll back through your journal and find where it was. Okay, so I'm telling you now, that's going to pay off dividends, all right? Once your application is finished, I want to see a screenshot of it running and working. And then I want you to zip and attach your finished Netbeans project here, okay? So I want you to do that. You go to Insert. Now, I'm in the OneNote app itself here, okay? If you're using OneNote within Teams, there'll be a little option up here at the top that says Open in Desktop App, and you should open it there, okay? And then you can go Insert, File, and actually I should be able to insert the project we did yesterday just to show. class exercises, week 1 revision, counting app, upload to OneDrive and insert the link or insert as attachment. Okay, and so it's in there as an attachment and I can then download that and open it up and see the code. Okay, and then your testing, I want you to document the test cases that you're going to do and the results of them when you run them. Okay, somebody asked a question, how many percentage do you get for each step? So I'm just ironing out the rest of the marking scheme on this. So you'll see I've set in the lab book itself that each topic is worth 5% until we get to the last one, which is 15%. Okay, and I'm working on finalizing the detail of where the marks go within that, and I will let you know next week. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Any other questions on any of that and how it works? Okay. So, using Netbeans, you should complete steps 5 and 6. Okay. And I will be here if you get stuck. So I'd like you to try and do a little bit of that work while you're here. Okay. So do make an attempt at starting it, just if for no other reason, then creating a new Netbeans project. Okay. Just I'd like you to, irrespective of how far you've progressed so far, okay, I'd like you to move on. All right. Open a new Netbeans project, give it an appropriate name, make sure you know where it's saved, add a new Java class to use as your instantiable class, and do try to do some of the code, okay, just for the practice. All right. Sean, you still don't have Netbeans. Okay. Zaza, would you mind please maybe taking Sean into a separate call and perhaps screen share with him and see if you can get Netbeans downloaded and installed on his laptop? Would that be okay? If he shares his screen with you, you should be able to talk him through maybe how to do that. Would that be all right? If you can just let me know if that's okay, and that's happening. Okay, Sean, if you're okay and you're happy enough that you're going to get some help at home to download Netbeans, that's fine. If it still doesn't work out for you, if you and your dad come up against difficulties, just let me know and I can try and help you outside of class. Okay? So Zaza, we won't need to do that right now, then that's okay. So right now you should all be working in Netbeans, developing your applications, okay? And if you have any questions, pop them in the chat window and we can figure out how we're going to make all of this work as we go along, okay?
Francis.
Yep.
Just a quick question. See, when you're making your new project, can you just quickly change the name? How do you change the name quickly to back to whatever? So I have my project called Hangman. I want to call it Hangman app. So I just change that by save as. Do I just go into file and save as?
It's a brilliant question, and no, don't do that. So you see how here on the left hand side I can see test app, right? That's my application that I'm working on.
Yeah.
So if I right click on that,
Yeah.
and I go to rename,
And then you can just change it like that.
you should be able to just change it like that, and then check the also rename project folder as well, just so it renames everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Like if I was renaming mine to test app 2. It takes a minute because it'll rename all the various bits as opposed to just the bit at the top. So now, it didn't rename my package, but okay. So that only renamed my project folder. And if I want to rename my class,
Yeah.
all right. So see here, test app. Okay. I right click on that, and I go to refactor.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then up to rename, and that's where I can change it. So I'll change it here to test app 2, and then press refactor, and it will refactor everywhere that appears to be test app 2. Okay.
Grand, thanks.
All right. So it's a bit tricky. It's better to refactor than just straight out rename. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks. So I'm not going to have the solutions. Well, I can take pictures of the IPO chart and the object diagram and put them on Moodle today. But it's my intention to go through the entire solution to the Hangman app in class next Monday before we move on. Okay. When I say go through, I'll be looking for audience participation. I won't just be talking at myself for 2 hours. Okay, so the best way to get a benefit from that class is to arrive with having tried it yourself already. Okay, so there's some good questions coming in. No, you have until basically next Monday. Well, before class next Monday morning, so or it's the afternoon, isn't it? I will lock all of the revision exercises. Okay, or maybe at class on Monday. All right. And then for Tuesday's class, I'll be issuing a new page of the lab book. At the end of Tuesday's class, I'll issue the next section, and it'll roll over that way. Okay, so as I issue another page, I will lock another page. Okay, so you have till next week to potter away at this. Couple of questions that come in there. So how do we make another class in Netbeans is the first one. So in order to do that, we right click on the package, new, and Java class. Okay, right click new and Java class. How do I parse a character into a string? So you don't parse characters to strings. So we parse integers or strings to integers or strings to doubles. Integer parse it. Yeah, so we parse strings to ints or doubles. All right, when we read something from JOption pane. If you're reading a string from JOption pane and you're trying to access just one character, what you want to do is access the first character in that string. Okay. So if your string was called input, okay, you would then say, so we could do it 2 ways. What's the best way to do this? J option pane dot show input dialog null letter dot char at 0. I might be missing a bracket or two there, but you get the idea. Okay, so you're taking you're saying take the character at 0 from whatever comes in via the J option pane. Okay, so some people are still having issues accessing the project journal. Don't worry about that for now. Okay, I will make sure everybody has access to the programming journal before next week. I'm not fussy about this first submission coming in. Okay, I did it so that we would know who was having issues. So if you are still having issues, I will try and address it tomorrow, because I have no classes tomorrow, so I have a chance to get stuck into things like this and have it organized for next week. Okay, just try to do the application yourself in Netbeans in the meantime, just to try it out. Okay, yes, Netbeans does save automatically. Okay, you'll see there's a file and there are save options here, but it's rare that you'll catch it before it saves automatically itself. And the notebook saves automatically also. So here's OneNote, and everything I've typed there is saved. There is no file save option. All right, it all saves automatically. If I come out and I go back into my revision exercise, there's the words that I typed earlier on. All right, good questions, guys. Keep them coming. Can we help? Yes, absolutely, Owen. You can go over any programming videos you want to help in figuring out this exercise particularly, okay? So by all means, and you'll find certainly in the introductory programming videos that I did, I would have used IPO charts and object diagrams a lot, okay? So if you watch the videos on instantiable classes, you'll see how I used IPO and object diagrams there, and that might help you to kind of wrap your head around how that works. I know some of you might not have used IPO charts before or object diagrams. Others might have used both or some or not, you know. So by all means, watch the instantiable classes video on my YouTube channel and you'll get an overview of how to handle all of that. Okay. Now I had made a note of a few things I wanted to get done today. Okay. Right. Look, that was a bit of a messy class, a little bit all over the place. All right, but I think we achieved a lot. Okay. Like I said, I'm happy if everybody has had an opportunity to try to get Netbeans downloaded and installed, to try to create a Netbeans project and get all of that running. Okay. Don't forget, you have to scroll up all the way to the top of the chat. But if for some reason you still can't see your event invites in your calendar, or you're even seeing event invites you probably shouldn't have, follow the instructions in the video by Sam and sync your calendar. Okay, it will take an hour or so, so do it as soon as you sign out of this class. Set it off. I think everybody should just do it for good measure anyway, just to make sure everything is as it should be. Okay, sync your calendar, let it run, let it do its thing, and then hopefully all of your invites will be as they should be next week. All right, it's good to do this after you've been registered. So for whatever reason you're not registered yet, do it after you've registered. Okay. So then we will all have access to OneNote. We'll all have what we need in Netbeans. Netbeans is available via Citrix as well, guys, but it's the newer version, which you can use. But a lot of the instructional material is for the 8.2 version. So, and I think there's a lot you can get lost in the other one that we don't need yet. So it's, you know, I think it's a bit superfluous. Yes, and other than that, I'm happy for you to continue on, finish out this application, and do some revision. Okay, so at the end of every session, we are going to have one of these slides that says what you should do before you come to the next class, particularly at the end of our Tuesday sessions. So there is a step 7 in the programming journal. So if you've managed to finish out the application and you want to add some additional features, step 7 will talk you through some of those features. Okay. If you struggled just even getting out of the blocks today because you're a bit rusty, I would suggest going and watching some of those videos on YouTube. Okay. Maybe touch base with computing support. All right. Computing support at ncirl.ie or emer.thornbury@ncirl.ie to maybe get yourself caught up so that you don't fall any further behind. Okay. I will go through the solution to this in class on Monday, but it's only going to be of use to you if you've attempted it yourself first. Otherwise, you're just watching me program, which is no use. Okay. If it was as easy as you just watching me program for a semester, I'd just push out all the videos and that'd be my job done. All right. Big thank you to our 3 lab assistants for today. I think we have a system that works, and we'll try and keep going with that one. All right. So they'll be here every Tuesday afternoon to give us lots of help because there are lots of you, and I need help. Yeah. So massive thank you to all of you guys, and I think we will leave it there. All right, and I will see you all next Monday. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.